Morning, everyone. Welcome. Very excited to be starting our next module this morning, Module 4. So I'll start off with brutal honesty as it relates to Module 4. Having done this program several hundred times, I can tell you that Module 4 is usually not the module that people look at and say, oh, I can't wait for the one on financial performance. And secondly, it is probably the most important module of the 5 because it is what we're going to be talking about today, what we're going to be talking about next week is what keeps us in business. It's what keeps you in business, is understanding the financial model of your business, understanding financial performance, being able to read financial statements, making sure that you have adequate capital to grow your business. So what we're going to be talking about over the next 2 sessions, this module has 3 components. The first component is understanding financial performance. And that's what we're going to be working on today. We'll be looking at the income statement, balance sheet, cash flow. We'll be calculating ratios. I'll show you how to calculate what's called the Z-score. It's probably the most important indicator of a company's financial performance. We're going to talk about key performance indicators, how to track key performance indicators. So very important what we'll be talking about today, financial performance. When we come back next week, the second section of this module is about financial planning. It's about budgeting. It's about forecasting. It's about how to look forward in terms of anticipating your financial performance. And then the third section, which we'll also cover next week, is about providing capital for the business. How do we go about finding money to fuel the growth of our business? We'll talk about the different sources of capital. We'll talk about the advantages and disadvantages of those 2 sources and what are some of the current trends for small businesses in finding adequate capital. So that'll all be next week. But today is about understanding financial performance. And there are 2 questions that I want to pose to each of you as we get started this morning. What I find is when I do this particular module, I find there is a wide range of understanding of financials. Everything from someone who has an accounting background, a financial background, does this for a living, to today is your first day in accounting, and everything in between. So I'd like for each of you to judge your financial, we'll call it your financial intelligence, on a scale of 1 to 10, and tell me what you think yours is today. Is it a 4? Is it a 7? Where would you put your financial intelligence today? And then the second question, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about key performance indicators today, numbers that we track daily, weekly, monthly. And I'd like for each of you to share with me what's the one number that you track most closely? What number do you look at the most as it relates to your company's financial performance? What's your favorite key performance indicator? All right, so first question, financial intelligence. John, you're going to go first. Financial intelligence on a scale of 1 to 10. Second is, what is your favorite key performance indicator? John, if you'll go first, and then Jason, you'll go next.
Okay, my financial intelligence, I think, is a 9 or a 10, just because my background, I get an MBA, CPA,
Good.
so that's my background. I've been,
Okay.
accounting for 20 years plus. In terms of my KPI that I look at, it's basically my gross profit. It's basically after all the variable costs. My biggest cost is payroll, of course. And so that's a big factor. And then I have royalty payments to my franchisee. Uh,
Okay.
but I'm trying to manage my payroll costs is probably the biggest struggle that I have, trying to make sure that my instructor to student ratios are what they need to be in order to be.
Okay, so a 9+ on financial intelligence. And so, Gina, if for whatever reason I get disconnected today, just turn it over to John. John
Okay.
will lead
I will.
the set today. And then KPI, as I heard, gross margin, and also payroll, very common. All right, Jason, and then Mike, you'll be next. 1 to 10, Jason, on financial intelligence?
I would classify my financial intelligence probably at a 4.
Okay.
Just because I'm fairly new in this game still. Maybe over the last 6 months, I think I do a pretty good job of monitoring the actual numbers from kind of a bookkeeping standpoint, but I haven't really had the opportunity to manage more. And then as far as my KPI, I would say, just tracking total revenue versus expenses at this point,
Okay.
and following my J curve right now.
Good. All right, Mike, and then Julie, you'll be next. Mike, 1 to 10 on financial intelligence.
I would just have to go middle of the road, 5.
5.
I don't think I'm real bad, but I know the more we get into this, the more I know that I do not know about it. And I need to learn the KPIs so much better and all these percentages. We basically just look at sales and just look at our cost numbers. We really don't pay attention to the percentages. So that's what I'm hoping to learn, is how to best utilize the skills for quick recognition of trends and things like that.
Okay, very good. So here's my promise to each of you, with the exception of John. I promise that after today, your financial intelligence will go up at least 1 point. John, I'm not sure we can get beyond 9.5, but for everyone else, I promise to get you at least 1 point higher.